If you don't plan, you're stupid.
Welcome back to If You Don't Plan, You're Stupid with Florida estate planning attorney Andy Rosenberg. Andy helps families protect their legacy, avoid probate headaches, and navigate tough moments with clarity. My name is Kevin Rosenquist, and today's episode is one every family should hear: what to do legally and practically after a loved one passes away. From locating the will to handling accounts, Andy's going to walk us through the steps to take during a very emotional time. Andy, welcome back.
Hey, Kevin, good to see you, my friend.
Good to see you as well, as always. And, when someone loses a parent or spouse, obviously the emotions are high. People are upset, obviously. So it's a tough time. What's the very first thing that they should do from a legal standpoint?
Listen, it's never, even if the person's been sick for a long time, it's never a good time. I mean, I've lost,
Right.
just for people out there, I've lost both my parents. So I've gone through the whole process twice, and it's never fun. I had one that was expected and one that wasn't expected. So I get it on both sides.
Yeah, they both have their tough parts. Yeah.
I don't know what's better. Yeah, I mean, is
Yeah,
it better
I know
to
they're
be
both tough.
prepared or is it better to be unprepared? I don't know, but
Yeah.
either way sucks, no
Yeah.
matter how you look at it. Sometimes it's better in that the person, it's time for them to go there, and someone's
Right. They're
paying them.
suffering. Yeah.
I see that a lot in my livelihood. First thing to do, the first thing you need to do when someone passes away is deal with your family. Okay, guys? All this legal crap that we have to deal with, it's not going to go away. It's not urgent. Relax. Be a good family person. Take care of your loved ones. Take care of your kids who have lost a grandparent or whoever it might be. Deal with the funeral arrangements, deal with the obituary and all that stuff. That is the number one thing, guys. Don't worry about what we have to do as the attorneys. um, there's nothing that is like hugely important that can't wait. So that's number one. Obviously, just deal with that. Deal with the grieving process. Number two, you're going to end up meeting with the funeral home, no matter what. They may be cremated, they might be buried, whatever the situation is. The funeral home company will deal with and will ask you questions at that meeting. And one of the questions they're going to ask you is, how many death certificates do you want? And you're going to say, not one. Okay. You need more than one. Ask for 5 to 10 death certificates. And there's two types. One is called with cause of death. It's called the long form. The other one is called without cause of death. It's called the short form. Very fancy names for these certificates. Yeah. Get half of each just to have them. I always tell my clients that when someone passes away, get 10 death certificates, get 5 with cause of death, get 5 without cause of death. If you have to make a decision, I would prefer to get without cause of death or the short form. So that's number one, is you're going to get order the death certificates. And just so people know, people ask me this all the time: how long will it take before we get that? It usually takes, every state's different, but in Florida, it takes around 10 business days before, on average. It could be longer, but 10 business days before we get a death certificate in the mail. And the death certificate, it's certified, and that's what I'm talking about. And they're not a lot of money. They're 10, 15 bucks a death certificate kind of thing. Don't worry, the funeral home company's going to charge you for them. So you're not going to be able to get them for free. That's not how it works.
Right.
But yeah, it takes time. I will tell you a crazy story though, Kevin. I know we're talking just about death certificates. I had a client who unfortunately passed away, and we weren't sure what the cause of death was. We thought it was from a dog bite situation.
Oh
So
my.
from infection and sepsis, and it was just a horrible, unexpected
Wow.
situation. Yeah. So the coroner's office had to do whatever they have to do and run tests and everything else. We couldn't get a death certificate for like months, and we had no control over it. So I've never had that before. I've never had that situation before, because most of my people die from natural causes. You know, yeah, Yeah, so that was if that ever should happen, just realize you may not get a death certificate for quite a while because the coroner's office, they take their time, and then some of these test results take months to come back. It was a crazy scenario. But so number one is deal with grieving, deal with your family. That's the most important thing. Number two is get the original slash certified death certificate with and without cause of death. Number three, start looking for the estate planning documents if there are any. Okay. And that's a big deal. That part is a big deal. Because we require, if the person only has a will, they didn't do trust work or anything like that, we need to have the original will. It's required by the court. When we file for, and we'll talk about this in a few minutes, but when we file with the court, the will, we have to file with them the original will.
Not a
So
copy.
not a copy. I mean, we can if we have to,
Yeah.
but 99% of the time, you need to have the original will. And if you don't, we got to go through a lot of hoops with the courts to make sure that the courts approve a certified copy of the will. But so it's really, really, really important to know from your loved one, where do they keep important documents such as the legal documents before they do pass away. So I can tell you that my kids know that if something happens to mom and dad, that I have an office in my house, and that it's in this one drawer is where I keep all my important legal documents, and they know exactly where to go. So it's really important to have. Again, one of the things that I created, which is I think extremely important for my client base, is I created this thing called the Estate in One Place Private Client Group. And so you have to be a member of it and pay a yearly fee for it. But one of the big advantages that we have with that, if you're a member, is I created something called a legacy portal. And what that is, and this is all part of what you need to do when someone passes away. When someone passes away, Kevin, and they end up meeting with me, so eventually they meet with the attorney. I tell them, well, what do we have? What assets do we have? What liabilities do we have? And it's like a deer in headlights. They have no idea what anything is. So this legacy portal that we created as part of this private client group, it's a place where my clients literally manually on the computer, they go in and they type in what assets they have, where they're at, Wells Fargo, Fidelity accounts, so whatever it might be. They have life insurance, what the life insurance contract number is, and for how much it's worth. Who's your life insurance contact person if something were to happen? Who's your attorney if something were to happen? Put in all these assets. Then you also can put in all your liabilities. You got a mortgage. Okay, what's the mortgage account number, right? And where does it get paid every month, and how much is it? Car insurance payments, all those types of things. In addition, in my legacy portal, you can upload your legal documents. So at least we know we have the copies and we know what the copies look like. You can also upload recordings. So I can record videos. It's something we're going to be doing this year with our clients, or next year, I should say, is I'm going to start asking clients questions, and we're going to record questions about family history. And then we're going to have them put it into their legacy portal so that the family has something to cherish when they look
That's cool.
back. Yeah. Social media information, usernames and passwords to shut things down. How do they shut stuff down? Because if you don't have that, you're screwed, right? So what it is I've created this thing, knowing from my 30 plus years as an attorney, seeing what happens when the family comes in, when someone dies and they have those certified death certificates, and they say, now what? And then I say, well, I have to know, what do you have that we have to deal with? And does it have to go through probate, or doesn't it have to go through probate? And they don't know what the hell they're looking at. And that's the sole purpose of this legacy portal, is to make it easier on your kids or whoever you name, so that when something happens to them, you make sure they know, here's where to go, here's their username and password, and then boom, they go in and they could see everything they have. It's like a roadmap. And then they can meet with the attorney and help the attorney through the process and make it a lot easier. So Did that make sense,
Yeah,
by the
yeah,
way?
absolutely. I'm curious because you said, about the original will. What if the kids or the surviving family members, they know there is a will, but they have no clue where it is?
Oh, it's a problem.
Yeah.
So here's the first question: do you have a copy? Right? Do we have a copy somewhere? And if they say we know there's a will, we don't have any copies anywhere, we can't find copies. Well, guess what? There's nothing I can do. If you can't find anything, we're gonna have to file as if you never had a will.
So it's
And we're
basically
gonna
like not having a will at all. Yeah.
it's basically dying
Wow.
intestate, dying without a will, and we'll have to follow the courts and file as if you never had a will. And then the distribution is going to go by the Florida statute, the
Hmm.
Florida intestate statute, and it may go completely against what the will said, right? Because we don't have the will. So yeah. So the first thing is if you don't have it and you don't have a copy, it's a major problem.
Right.
If at least you have a copy, then it's a pain in the butt, but we can file that with the court if we had to, but we have to do a lot of protocols, so we have to find the witnesses, we have to have a witness do an attestation saying, yeah, this is in fact a true copy of the all sorts of things we got to do and file with the court to say the court will say, yeah, we can honor that. That's if you don't have the original. And I don't recommend, by the way, I do not recommend that you put your original legal documents in a safe deposit box at a bank, which is probably what you were thinking, maybe, Kevin.
Yeah, I think I would imagine a lot of people do that sort of thing.
They do. But let me tell you a problem, and I've run into this many times. What happens if your mom or dad dies and you know that's where the documents are, and you go to get access and you have the key to get in, but you're not on there as a signatory?
They
You
can't let
cannot
you in, right?
we have to go to probate court and have to get court orders to open up the safe deposit box. So it's a
Mhm.
disaster. So I tell people this: listen, for your legal documents, I know we're kind of getting off on a tangent, but this is important. For your legal documents, I recommend you keep them in your house. If you have a safe, put them in a safe. Make sure your kids know the combination to the safe. But I recommend that you put them into some sort of a fireproof box. Okay. You can buy it online on Amazon or whatever, 25, $50, whatever. It's not a lot of money, but I recommend that you put them in a cabinet or safe or whatever, but just make sure it's fireproof so that, God forbid, if you do have a fire, it's protected. Or what I have is I have one of those little fireproof things and I have all my important documents in it. And if I have to run out of the house, I know to just grab that cabinet, that small little cabinet thing or whatever you want to box or whatever that's fireproof, and I can take that with us. And it's got our passports, it's got our legal documents, it's got our life insurance policy, it's got all the important stuff that we would need. God forbid we had a fire and the house gets ruined.
Yeah, it's a good idea. It's a good
Yeah.
idea.
So order death certificates, look for the estate planning documents, deal with the funeral home, obviously. The last thing that you should do is they'll know eventually, but I would recommend contacting Social Security if they're receiving Social Security and let them know that mom, dad, brother, sisters passed away so they know to shut off the checks.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. That's those are the things to do within the first week or two of someone passing away. Then the next steps are, what do we do after that? That's when you need to meet with someone like me and start the process of probate.
And just in case someone is getting with us at the first or joining us for the first time, can you briefly explain the probate process? What exactly that means?
Yeah. So, two terms I'm going to use: if you die without any will, or you can't find the will and you can't find copies, like we talked about, the legal term is called dying intestate at that point, which means that we have to file with the court the probate process, and we're filing saying there is no will. So that means dying intestate, and we have to file certain documentation. And then the state of Florida will tell us how the assets will get distributed at the end through the Florida intestate law. If we have a will, then we file the will along with the death certificate and all the opening documents, etc., with the court. That process is called dying testate. So intestates without a will, testates with the will. And then at the end, the judge will say where the assets go. And we look at the will, and the will tells us how it goes versus if you died without a will, the state of Florida intestate law tells us how it goes.
Okay.
What has to go through probate? Guess what has to go through probate? Anything that is in your name alone when you pass away that does not have a beneficiary form. So
Okay.
think about this, Kevin. IRAs, 401ks, life insurance, annuities all have beneficiary forms. So they should not have to go through the courts because it will automatically go with the death certificate. Remember I said get like 10 death certificates?
Yep.
Those different accounts that you have, those IRAs, whatever, they're going to want proof. They're going to want a certified death certificate. So you'll have to send them the death certificate, and then they will send you whatever paperwork that needs to be filled out to transfer it to whoever the beneficiary is.
Okay.
So normally, there's no need for probate for assets that have beneficiary forms. However, there are lots of times where I see it is required because they never named a beneficiary. So it's going to have to go to the estate, which means probate for an IRA. They never put a beneficiary on there. Or the people that they named as the beneficiaries are dead. And then now we have to legally transfer to that person's estate. So it still happens. But technically, anything that's in your name alone without a beneficiary form, that's what's going to have to go through probate court to get it transferred to whoever you want it to go to in a will, or if you don't have a will, through the Florida statute.
Okay.
Either way, it's going through the court system in that situation.
Right.
Now, joint ownership, if you own something jointly with somebody and one of you were to pass away, that will not go through probate upon that first death. Okay. That will automatically go to whoever you name it is a joint owner. So Kevin, you and I own an investment property together, and I die and it's owned joint tenants with right of survivorship. You automatically have it. There's no probate.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Does that make sense?
Yeah, of course. Yeah. If you have a joint ownership, then whoever's still alive is still the owner.
Yeah, exactly. But what now, Kevin, what happens when you die? It's now in your name alone. And now you died. That's going to go through probate. So guys out there, guys and girls, listen to this. Any assets that are held as joint tenants with rights of survivorship, they do not avoid probate. It does not avoid probate. It delays it until the last person is standing. That's different. That makes sense?
Yeah, it does. And now does a trust avoid probate?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's why we do trust work. Okay.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So a trust. So if you name a trust as the owner or beneficiary of an asset, when you pass away, the trust doesn't die. The trust keeps going. It stays alive, for lack of a better analogy. It stays alive. And then the trust says it goes to your siblings or to your kids or however you want it to go, but it doesn't go through the court process. And you name someone in the trust to manage it and to distribute the assets. That person that you name could be a brother, sister, spouse, whoever, whatever it is. They're called a successor trustee, and they will be in charge, and then they will be able to transfer assets.
Okay. Yeah. So we got a little off topic there. We're talking about what to do after a loved one dies, but I guess it's important to know what happens in different situations, whether it's no will, a will, and then a trust. So I think that's good stuff to nail down. All right. Well, losing a loved one, we all know it's hard. Don't let legal confusion make it harder. If you're facing this situation, visit rosenberglawfirm.net for help navigating what comes next. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and leave us a review. Andy, thanks so much for all the information. I found it very, very useful as someone who has two older parents. So I appreciate it very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. And again, it's a big weekend in Florida. It's Miami versus Florida State. So whoever you root for, good luck. I'm a Hoosier, so I don't care.
But even though you have a Miami shirt on.
I have a Miami shirt for my daughter.
All right. Well, go Hurricanes. Go Hoosiers.
Go Canes. Yeah. Have a good one, everybody.
Thanks for watching. Be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and leave us a review in the comments.